I went crazy at the library. Guys, so it's Kyosh and I'm back for another video. If you guys enjoy my videos, please give them a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. Alright you guys, so we are rolling out with another book video. I hope you guys enjoyed my last video where I showed you guys all the books I read in January and what books I plan to read in February. Let me know in the comment below if you guys read any of the books that I said I read in January or plan to read in February. I really want to know you guys' thoughts and how you enjoyed the books. So today we are going to do a February wrap up, and then I'm going to tell you all the books I anticipate reading for March. So let's start with the wrap up. Okay, so in February I have read 4 books so far. I have 2 days left, and hopefully I can get through my 5th book by the end of tomorrow, so that I'll have 5 books read in the month of February. I think in January I read 6 books, so I'm only like 1 book behind. And I'm really not behind because I'm above my goal. I only want to read 52 books this year, and that means 1 book a week. So I'm doing more, averaging more about 1.5 books a week. So I'm ahead of the game. I'm ahead of the game, y'all. That's how we got to do it here. We got to reach our goals this year. So the first book I read, and I will make sure I just put the covers right here for the ones I don't have. If you're new here, I do get all of my books most likely from the library. I do not buy books because I do not have bookshelves. I am on a, I guess you can call it a minimalist journey, so I don't want to collect unnecessary things. I'm not one to reread books. Once I read a book, that's it. I'm not reading it again. So it's no use for me to collecting books, and my kids are not the biggest readers, so they're not going to read them either. So I prefer to either borrow my books, get them digitally, or get them from my local library. So that's why you won't see too many physical books probably after I read them, because I don't keep them. So that's my little spiel, just in case you was wondering why I don't have physical books. Sorry if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my Goodreads. You guys can follow me on Goodreads. I will have the link down below. It is a real-time place telling you guys what I'm currently reading, where I am in the process of that book, and when I finish reading it, and when I start a new one. And the other place you can find out what I'm reading outside of Goodreads is on my vlogs. I've put out vlogs every Friday, and during that week or during that time I'll tell you what I'm reading, what I read, and how I felt about it, because these videos will only come out once a month. So if you want to see what I'm reading before these videos come out, that's how you can figure it out. So the first book I read was The Yellow Wife. I gave it 5 stars. I did talk about it in my January wrap up video. It was really good. It's about this slave woman who is half white. Her father is the master of the plantation, and his first wife loved her and his second wife did not. So when he left with her mom and they got in some kind of accident, and then they was out for a while, she got mad at the daughter and sold her. And it just shows her life and her journey from being sold, because she was like high up, like a house slave, so she didn't have to work the field or do hard labor or anything like that. So it kind of shows her life after she is sold. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a really good book. I loved it. The next book I read in February was The Last Thing He Told Me by Lord Dave. This book was really good. It's a suspense book about this woman who's been married to this guy for about 18 months. She has a stepdaughter. Then all of a sudden one day the guy goes missing. Like, he gives them a note. It says, take care of my daughter. Gives the daughter a note with a bunch of money. And then it's a whole book about figuring out, why did he have to disappear? Where did he go? What is going on? I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was very suspenseful, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. The only thing I didn't like was the ending, and you guys already know I talk about books and their endings all the time. But so in this case, you know, it didn't end very well. I didn't really like the ending. It was still a good book. I gave it 4 stars. I would recommend you to read it, but the ending was lackluster for me. Okay. The next book I read was The Family Upstairs, and I gave it 5 stars. I almost gave it 4 stars because it ended kind of abruptly. Endings are my pet peeve on books. I'm just that person. I can't write books, but I need you to have a good ending. Please, can you do it? I gave it 5 stars because there is a sequel coming out. The sequel comes out in July. So if the sequel is good, then I will give it, you know, its due. But I think this book, because I know there's another book coming, I gave it 5 stars. If there was no other book coming and this was the end, I would have gave it 4 stars, and that was it. So it's basically about this girl who finds out that she got adopted, and it's her journey to finding out what happened to her birth parents and her siblings. I thought it was like a murder mystery thing, but it's not. But it was still a really good book, very interesting story. So I did give it 5 stars. Okay, the next book I read was 7 Days in June. I am in a book club, and this was our February book club read of the month. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, you guys. So many mixed reviews on it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good story, very realistic about what happens in life, and everybody doesn't always get a happy ending. Okay, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. So it basically follows these 2 adults, a male and female, who met in high school, and then they fell madly in love, and they had like very traumatic childhoods that dealt with like abuse and drug abuse and all this kind of stuff. And then they kind of separated one day. She got into overdose, and then she ended up going to the hospital. He ended up going wherever, and it shows like years later, after she's married, have a child, he shows up back in her life, and they kind of take off from there. And it kind of tells you what happened in between that time span of them losing touch from high school to now, and them kind of like possibly falling back in love. So I really loved it. I thought it was good. Some people didn't like it, but I gave it 5 stars. You should read it. I liked it. I think it would be a very good movie. I really do. Okay, and then the last book that I plan to read in February and get through with is Black Girls Must Be Magic. It is the sequel to Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, and it follows, of course, Tabitha Walker on her pregnancy journey. So you guys know in the first book, she did end up getting pregnant, and so this talks about her journey through her pregnancy. I'm only 70 pages in, but it's only 200 and something pages, so I should be able to finish this today or tomorrow and have this wrapped up for my February. So yeah, so I really enjoyed the first book. I remember I was kind of hesitant about the first book, and it came out really good, so I hope this one's just as good. So far, it's she with that drama, she with that stuff. Tabitha always be with some, y'all, but hopefully it turned out well for her life. We gonna see. So that is what I'm currently reading right now, and I hope to finish by tomorrow. So then I've been read 5 books in February. So you'll find out in my March wrap up whether I took this into March or what I finished in February. So we'll see. All right, you guys. So let's move on to my March TBR. Oh my gosh, you guys. What was I thinking? Look at all of these books that I'm trying to read in the month of March. I went crazy at the library. Literally, I went crazy at the library, and I'm like, oh, this sounds good, that sounds good, this sounds good. Because you guys know I research my books, and then I'll make a list, and for some reason, I just couldn't put it down. So this is 8 books. 8 books that I want to try to read in March. Most likely some of them will travel over into April, but I'm okay with that. So the first book I want to read is actually a travel over from February. I put this in my February TBR, but I was not able to make it to it. It's In Every Mirror She's Black. I told you guys the first time that it was about these 3 women who met this CEO guy, and he got murdered. Well, the author corrected me on that. She commented on my video, and she was like, no, he not murdered. I don't know why people keep talking about he died. So he didn't die, but I haven't read it yet to figure out, you know, what's going on. So this is going to be the first book that I'm going to read in the month of March, because I have to return it to the library soon, so I need to read it. And then the next book I'm reading is called I Am Not Who You Think I Am. This is a book that Alicia actually recommended to me. It's by Rickstad, and this is what it looks like. Sorry for the glare. And so it's basically about Waylon Maynard is just 8-year-old when he sees his father kills himself, finds that note that reads, I am not who you think I am, and is left reeling with grief and shock. Who was his father if not the loving man Waylon knew? Terrified, Waylon keeps the note a secret, but his reason for being afraid are just beginning. 8 years later, Waylon makes a shocking discovery and becomes certain that the note is the key to unlocking a past his mother and others in his town want to keep buried. With the help of 2 friends, Waylon searches for the truth. Together, they uncover strange messages scribbled in his father's old books, a sinister history behind the town's most powerful family, and a bizarre tragedy possibly linked to Waylon's birth. Each revelation raises more questions and deepens Waylon's suspicion of everyone around him. Soon he'll regret he ever found the note, trusted his friends, or believed in such a thing as the truth. That sounds so good, you guys. So that is the second book I plan on reading. So I like to read my books pretty much in the order of page count. I'll get through the smaller ones fast and work on the larger ones. So this month's book club book of the month is called Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I don't know anything. Oh, it has such a glare. Sorry, you guys. This is what it looks like. I'll try to put a picture if this doesn't turn out right. But this is what it looks like. And so it says, the Great Recession has shuffled Clay Jansen out of his life as a Chicago web design drone, and serendipity, sheer curiosity, and the ability to climb a ladder like a monkey have landed him a new gig working the night shift at Mr. Penumbra's, I can't pronounce that, 24-hour bookstore. But after a few days on the job, Clay begins to realize that this store is even more curious than the name suggests. There are only a few customers, but they come in repeatedly and never seem to actually buy anything. Instead, they check out impossibility occurs volumes from strange corners of the store, all according to some elaborate, long-standing agreement with the gnomic Mr. Penumbra. The store must be a front for something larger. Soon Clay has embarked on a complex analysis of the customer's behavior and roped his friends in to help him figure out just what is going on. And when they bring their findings to Mr. P, it turns out the secret extends far outside the walls of the bookstore. So that sounds really, really good. So it's like a mystery about a bookstore. And then the next book, I told you I give my book recommendation for everything. I think I saw this on Instagram and I took a screenshot of it, and it's called The Other Misses by Mary Kumbica, and it says it's going to become a Netflix soon, so a Netflix show soon. So I don't know if it's going to be a show or a movie. I love to read books, you know, and then watch the movies. And some of these books I have no clue what they're about. I just picked them up. Sadie and Will Foss have only just moved their family from bustling Chicago to a small town Maine when their neighbor Morgan Bates is found dead in her home. The murder rocks their teeny coastal island, but no one is more shaken than Sadie. But it's not just Morgan's death that has Sadie on edge. It's the eerie and decrepit old house they inherited. It's Will's disturbed teen niece with her threatening presence, and it's the troubling past that continues to wear at the seams of their family. As the eyes of suspicion turns towards the new family in town, Sadie is drawn deeper into the mystery of Morgan's death. But Sadie must be careful, for the more she discovers about Miss Barnes, the more she begins to realize just how much she has to lose if the truth ever comes to light. The Other Misses. Sounds good, sounds good. Y'all know I love a little mystery. The next book is called White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. You know, we've read one of her books for our book club. It's called Allegedly, and then I read her book Monday's Not Coming, which was such a good read. If you have not read Monday's Not Coming, put it on your list, y'all. Put it on your list. Allegedly, you can if you want to. It was okay. But Monday's Not Coming was very heartfelt. That was such a sad book, but it was so good. So this one's called White Smoke. So it's about Marigold is running from ghosts. The phantoms of her old life keep haunting her, but a move with her newly blended family from their small California beach town to the embattled Midwest city of Cedarville might be the fresh start she needs. Her mom has accepted a new job with the Sterling Foundation, which comes with a free house, one that Mari now has to share with her bratty 10-year-old stepsister Piper. The renovated, picture-perfect home on Maple Street, sitting between dilapidated houses surrounded by weary neighbors, has its secrets. That's only half the problem. Household items vanish, doors open on their own, lights turn off, shadows walk past rooms, voice can be heard in the walls, and there's a foul smell sweeping through the vents, which only Mari seems to notice. Worse, Piper keeps talking about friends who want Mari gone, but running from ghosts is just a metaphor, right? As the house closes in, Mari learns that the danger isn't limited to Maple Street. Cedarville has its secrets too, and secrets always find their way through the cracks. So this sounds very, very interesting. Super excited for that one. The next two books are by, of course, my new favorite author, Fredrik Backman, who is the Swedish author of what did I read? A Man Called Ovi, Mary Claire Was Here, and this one is called Beartown. People say Beartown is finished, a teeny community nestled deep in the forest. It is slowly losing ground to the ever encroaching trees, but down by the lake strands an old ice rink built generations ago by the working men who founded this town. And that ice rink is the reason people in Beartown believe tomorrow will be better than today. Their junior ice hockey team is about to compete in the national semifinals, and they actually have a shot at winning. All the hopes and dreams of this place now rest in the shoulders of a handful of teenage boys. A victory would send star player Kevin on to a brilliant professional future in the NHL. It would mean everything to Ma, a scrawny 15-year-old treated like an outcast everywhere but on the ice. And it would justify the choice that Peter, the team's general manager, and his wife Kara made to return to his hometown and raise their children in this beautiful but isolated place. Being responsible for the hopes of an entire town is a heavy burden, and the semifinal match is the catalyst for a violent act that will leave a young girl traumatized and a town in turmoil. Hers is a story no one wants to believe, since doing so would mean the end of the dream. Accusations are made, and like riplets on a pond, they travel through all of Beartown, leaving no resident unaffected. That sounds so good. You know, he is a fictional realist, I think is the genre that his is. And so that's the first book, and then Us Against Them is actually the sequel to that. And so I'm not going to read it because it gives a little bit of spoilers, but this is the sequel to that. And last and final book, if I make it that far, guys, it's called Home Before Dark by Riley Seeger. Another, I think, mystery or some kind of fiction. That's what it looks like. And it says, Maggie Holt doesn't believe in these things, even though they are the details of the story that made her family famous. 25 years ago, she and her parents, Edwin and Jess, moved into Bainbury Hall, a rambling Victorian estate in the Vermont woods. They spent 20 days there before fleeing into the dead of night, an ordeal Irwin later recounted into a horror memoir, House of Horrors. His tale of ghostly happenings and encounters with mellow violent spirits became a worldwide phenomenon, rivaling the Amityville horror in popularity and skepticism. Maggie has lived her life in the shadow of her father's book, so when she inherits Bainbury Hall after his death, she returns to renovate the house to prepare for its sale. However, her homecoming is anything but warm. People from the past chronicle in House of Horrors, Lord and Shadows. Locals aren't thrilled that this small town has been made infamous thanks to Maggie's father. Even more unnerving is Banterbury Hall itself, a place filled with relics from another era that hint at the history of the dark deeds. As Maggie experiences strange occurrences straight out of Edwin's book, she starts to wonder if what he wrote was more fact than fiction. Alternating between Maggie's uneasy homecoming and chapters from her father's book, Home Before Dark is a story of a house with long buried secrets and a woman's quest to uncover them, even if the truth is far more terrifying than any haunting. That sounds good. So those, you guys, are all the books I'm trying to read in March. Let me know if you guys are excited for any of the books that I've read to read yourself, or any of the books that are upcoming on my book list for March. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.